Hello, welcome to the Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 373. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. And this is a Tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
What's up?
Living life.
Are you?
Sure.
How's mom life?
It's been 1 week.
It's been 1 week of momming it.
Yeah. Yeah. Baby, it's just learning how to do things while a baby's attached to you.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to have to learn how to do that wrap thing.
I know, yeah. We have 2 different ones. The one's like the clip-in thing. But
Yep.
we need to find there's a bottom pillow we need to find for it, which I think is downstairs.
Okay.
The other one sketches me out.
Okay.
Because, like, most of the wraps you see, you tie and then you put baby in. But I was looking up how to do that one. They, like, have you put baby in while you're tying.
Seems sketchy.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We'll see what.
You should
what we
just get one of the easy ones.
Get
Is there just like an easy one you can order?
probably, yeah.
Or like we know how many moms. Just be like, hey, do any of you have like an easy to use one?
Yeah. There's quite a few on Facebook Marketplace, too.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
You've already been looking.
Well, they just, like, pop up.
Ah, fair. Just like cars on mine.
Yeah.
I went on Facebook Marketplace to get some more cloth diapers, and I pull it up, and I'm like, oh my God, Sam, I need to buy this car.
And I was like, that's not what you're looking for at all.
But it's not my fault, dude. It's my fault because it's my algorithm.
Uh-huh.
So they're just like, bing, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
How's
Cool.
dad life?
Huh?
How's dad life?
Pretty chill for me.
Yeah.
Yep. You take the brunt of it.
Yep.
I've just been making a lot of food.
Yep.
Changing a couple diapers.
Mm-hmm.
Holding baby every now and again.
Yep.
So it's been pretty
Chill.
I like it.
That's good.
I like it. I'm glad I don't have to be the mom.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I'm cool with the dad.
I bet you are.
If it continues this way, I'm not mad.
You know it won't.
What do you mean?
Look at, like, Kyle and the girls.
Oh, like spending more time together?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yep.
But I suppose then they're, like, older and then they can, like, you don't have to, like, watch them constantly, so it's not as bad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, the other part is like, yeah, being able to do my normal day shit and then like afternoons or whatever. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
That'll be really nice. Yep, we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there.
Yeah, what do they say? Like, well, at first someone told us what the first 3 days is the hardest.
Yeah. Which is pretty true.
Yeah.
That was probably true.
Yeah. And then other people say, like, the first, like, 6 to 8 weeks is the hardest.
Yep.
And then I think after that, it's, like, 6 months is, like, the hardest.
Interesting.
Because I think once you hit, like, newborn, it's, like, done at 6 to 8 weeks.
I don't know that answer.
Yeah. Like, I think then they're not technically a newborn anymore at 6
Sure.
to 8 weeks.
Sure.
And then what? At, like, at 6 months, they can start doing more things, which is more fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of my guy friends said like until a kid's 6 months, it's like going through the motions, and then once they hit a year, it's like, okay, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, what are we tutoring about?
all right, dude. We told you on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking how 1 + 1 + 1 = 19. So, cash, the fuel for your economic engine, how 1 + 1 + 1 = 19, a gravitas impact monograph by Jeffrey Redman and Adam Siegel. This book
Is genius.
is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is so simple. It's, how many pages we got on this thing? 45 pages. It is straight to the point. It tells you exactly what you need to know, what you need to look for, and it can drastically help your business. Drastically. You could even put it in your personal life if you're a W-2 employee.
That's cool.
Pretty simple.
That's very cool.
The concept is, okay, you've got, let me see here. The whole concept of this book is finding cash within your business, okay? So the biggest thing, one thing he talks about is no CFOs allowed. So, you don't need a chief financial officer. You can look at your business. You don't need some big, crazy study. You can just look at your business and go, where can I get cash? Where can I find cash, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got, three stages, right? You've got your sales. So your sales, right? Then you have your cost of goods sold, or your operations. So for us, our cost of goods sold would be our our construction team, or our labor rate for our guys. So our paying our guys, and then the materials for the project, right? So that's our cost of goods sold is materials and labor. Okay. And then you have overhead. And so our overhead would be our trucks, trailers, tools, office, Brooke, yourself, me doing sales, Kyle when he's doing project management. So that's our overhead, right? Mm-hmm. And so the idea is all we need to do is find 1% in each category.
Right.
Okay? So if we think of our sales, so he bases everything off of a company doing $1 million in sales. Okay? Company doing $1 million in sales. So how can we increase our sales by 1%? So how do we increase our sales by $10,000 for the whole year? So 1%, right? Mm-hmm. There's two main ways. The first way would be to just increase your price by 1%. Increase price by 1%, okay? Which in almost any industry, you'll be able to do.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be able to increase your price by 1%. The other way is to get more volume, sell more volume. So sell a current customer an add-on or more, right? So it'd be we did an estimate for a gentleman who wanted a new bathroom. Mm-hmm. We also were able to sell him a new kitchen sink. Mm-hmm. So that new kitchen sink, in compared to the whole job, is probably a 5% add-on.
Yeah.
And so that right there, we are already there. We don't have to acquire a new customer. We just get 5% more on our sale for doing that, right? And so your goal then for your sales is either increase price by 1% or increase your volume. Mm-hmm. Okay. What does increase? So increasing your volume, though, keep in mind, also increases your cost of goods sold, but it does not increase your overhead, right?
Right.
Because we've calculated that out. If we've got X amount of guys on job billing out X amount of hours per week, it covers our overhead. Mm-hmm. Everything above and beyond, that's just winning.
Right.
You got something to fill in?
No.
You are tired.
No.
I can see you dozing off over there.
Mom life, dude.
All right. So we got our sales, right?
Yes.
Our goal is to increase sales by 1%. Okay. We have our cost of goods sold. So if we're doing $1 million in sales, our cost of goods sold, let's say, is $500,000. Okay. So 50% is cost of goods sold. Okay. So for us, like I said, that'd be the materials and the labor. And then you have your overhead. Your overhead is they have on here is $400,000. Okay. And so essentially, so your overhead, like I mentioned, office, vehicles, insurance, tools, admin in the office, salespeople, etc. Right? Mm-hmm.
So things that are not directly making you money.
Things that are not making you any money.
Yep.
Yeah, things that don't. Yep. So essentially what this company has, and the example that everything's based off of is based off of a current 10% profit margin. So their net income, their profit is 100,000. Okay. So million top line for your sales price. Cost of goods sold is 500,000. Overhead is 400,000, leaving you with a net income of 100,000, right? So business makes 100,000. Okay. Now, what 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 19 means is this. So we already discussed, we are going to increase our sales by 1%. That gives us an extra $10,000 income. We are going to decrease our cost of goods sold by 1%, which gives us $5,000 in savings. So you might ask, like, how would I decrease my cost of goods sold? Well, one thing for us is making sure, so like our cost of goods sold, making sure the material is on site before the project starts.
Yeah.
That easily will save us 1%.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. Sure. And then overhead, how could we cut something in overhead? So maybe like one thing we actually had for an example is we've got baseboard heat in our office, which costs us $650 last month to heat the office. This is the dumbest thing ever. $650 to heat the office last month with baseboard heat. So we're getting rid of baseboard and we're putting in a forced air system, which after we calculated it out, not only will we get to add AC in the summer, which we don't have currently, so there's been days we can't even go to the office, like we will have a full payoff in 2 years, and then we'll be making money third year on getting that installed. So that right there easily saves us our 1% on overhead. Okay. So we increase sales by 1%, which is 10 grand. Decrease cost of goods sold by 1%, which is 5 grand. Decreased overhead by 1%, which is 4 grand, which now gives us a net income of 19,000 more, 119,000. So our net income by us going 111 gives us a 19% more in our net income.
It's pretty good.
That's a very good return.
Yeah.
Very good. So the more you do that, the more inefficiencies you can find, the better that net income price is going to get. The more you can increase your price or increase your volume or whatever. And so we want your business is operated through cash, right? And when you start out as a small business, everything is about cash, having enough cash to operate and to survive, right? As you grow, and you know, we're guilty of this, as you grow, it's just like, oh yeah, that's just the cost of doing business, whatever, like let it go. But it's like, okay, it doesn't need to be that way, right? Like that, you can still be strategic and find that cash in your business so that you're not losing money to dumb things. An example is like having guys show up on site and not put in a full day of work. Because when they come into a job site, you've got essentially 30 minutes of setup, 30 minutes of tear down and clean up. So you have an hour. So if guys are going in only to work a half day, 4 hours, then you're only able to bill for 3 hours, even though our cost was 4 hours. So we really only made profit on 2 hours. And so like you want to be very wary of that. Like short days are not good in construction.
No.
It would be better to have like 3 to 4 long days and then 3 to 4 days off. That would keep your overhead, that would keep your cost of goods sold down. And overhead would stay the same, but that would keep your cost of goods sold down, right?
Oh yeah, majorly.
Big time. So it's things like that as like the owner, like you don't need a CFO to come in to tell you that. You can look at your business and go, where's their waste? And okay, yep, there's waste here, 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 here. We got to fix that. Yeah, there's so many things, even like overhead wise, of like me doing certain sales calls and like me not trying to do all my sales in 1 to 2 days.
Right.
And instead me doing sales like boom, like I'll do a sales call every other day or whatever. And so then I'm out driving around for no reason, getting off task, taking away time from other shit, right? Where if I were to put like 3 sales in a day and just have my sales on one day, then it's going to make it a lot easier to do said sales.
Right. I mean, one thing we learned like really quickly was like asking customers like what their budget is. Because like for a while, Shaun was like making all these estimates, and so many of them were either ghosting us or just like, well, I didn't know it was going to be that expensive, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So now like we start with like, what is your budget? Like, what do we have to work with?
Yep.
Because then very quickly we can, like, Shaun can walk through it and be like, okay, well, your budget is materials alone.
Yep. And then the conversation's over.
Right. So like that's really saved Shaun a lot of time of working on these estimates that were bound for failure anyways.
Yep. Yep. No, it's that has helped because.
And that was just one tiny little adjustment.
Right.
Right. Like that's now one question that Shaun asks that saves him hours.
Yep.
It's great.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah, it's very helpful. So then, with like me implementing that in sales helps with our overhead a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm not just sitting there wasting time. The second thing is like mistakes. And this would go into our cost of goods sold, is mistakes. And it would also lend into overhead too, because we have like scheduling and shit. And like, so if the guys fuck something up, like we got a leak, we got a plumbing leak, we didn't properly tighten down a drain or whatever, right? Well, then Brooke's going to get a call. Brooke's going to have to talk with the customer, apologize for what might have happened, schedule a guy to get out there right away, pulling them off another job, which now takes us away from making income. Send them to that place to fix it, which we cannot charge for. We have to eat that price. Then coordinate back to the customer to make sure they're happy and everything's fixed. Send the guy back to where he was. And so now we lost a couple hours of income. We've stolen a couple hours of income, which includes both cost of goods and overhead in that, right? And so that's one thing. They do a breakdown of a construction company in this book. And one thing they did was they made quality control officer who goes into every job. Everybody stops. The quality control walks through the whole job. So this is construction company. Quality control walks through the whole job, looks over shit, goes, what's this? And the quality control is not a construction expert.
That's cool.
A quality control is a random person who's asking these people questions because they go, well, why isn't this that you know, because then they can get an understanding of like why shit is the way it is. Yeah. So boom. So the quality control expert goes through that and they make sure that everything works, that there's no issues, that a customer's not going to call back because they're not happy with something. And they said by hiring that position, shutting down the job site so that quality control can go through and walk through with the guys there, they save like 13% of operating costs by doing that. They save.
That's insane.
13% of it. So by adding a position, by shutting down a job site, they save 13%.
That's wild.
Insane.
And we've discussed doing that, but we just haven't been able to like really implement it.
Right. So it goes to show big time of like the importance of quality, the importance of accountability. So in the next part of this, right?
Ooh, real quick. The nice thing about that too is like, then you're calling people out too while they're there.
100%.
So that's been like some of our other issues is like, we've had problems come up, but it's like, maybe they went on vacation, so they're not even the one that has to go fix it. Or we're like, well, Kyle's already out and about running around. We'll just have Kyle go fix it.
Right.
So then doing that, like they get the repercussions, whatever.
Yeah.
Right away.
Right.
Which is nice.
The reprimands or whatever.
Yeah.
So with that is accountability. And so there's somebody in control of each section, right? Mm-hmm. And we're in a little bit, we'll talk about accounts payable, accounts receivable, and time and stuff. But there's an accountability aspect where everybody, there's one person that's accountable for each section, right? So like we'd have someone accountable for our accounts receivable, accounts payable, okay? We have someone responsible for our on-site operations, project management. We have someone responsible for our sales. We have someone responsible for our scheduling, right? So we got people. So now when we look at these things, we as a group, as a team, go over inefficiencies, write down our inefficiencies, all of that. Then it goes, okay, Sam, why is our accounts receivable not being sent the day the job's done, right? So you're responsible for getting it sent the day it's done. Why is that not happening? You are costing us cash.
Right.
Okay. Or like, for me, Shaun, why did you spend 3 hours doing an estimate when the customer does not have the means to even be a customer?
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, that 3 hours just cost the business this much money in overhead plus this much in opportunity cost lost, right? Yeah. And so you're able to hold that person accountable for why they are not doing their tasks.
That's cool.
Yep. How you doing?
Good.
Got something?
No.
Got anything?
No, you're doing a good job.
Okay, so then we have the accounts receivable and accounts payable. So essentially the concept for this whole thing is time, right? So a business cycle, or like your cash, we talked about this on Friday. Your cash starts the day you start marketing.
Right.
Okay. So if like we'll use this neighborhood, for example, we started marketing and building that flyer when did we start building that flyer?
Probably in August.
So in August. So our overhead started in August. When did it get sent out?
Right around Christmas.
Okay, got sent out around Christmas. Okay, so that's more overhead. So that's when our main overhead price gets sent out. We had a little bit, but that's when our main overhead gets sent out, is when we send out the flyers. Okay. We got our first calls 4 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So getting our first calls 4 weeks ago, and now if we get a job from that, right, we book that job out 2 to 3 months in advance. Jeebus. Book that job out 2 to 3 months in advance, and then if we'll get paid a deposit up front, so we'll get 10% up front of getting the job. Then we'll get paid like 40% down, and then we'll get paid 50% upon completion, right?
Right.
So we do not recoup all of our funds. A process from like December to, say we book a job this week or last week, and then we're shooting out 2 to 3 months. So we're not collecting our final money until April.
Oof.
So you're talking, it's taking a 4 to 5 month or that's when we book it out, and then we have to do the work,
Right.
which is usually a couple weeks depending on the job. So really, we're talking about May to June of when we're getting paid. So we're talking about like a 6 month, anywhere from 150 to 180 days before we get the final cash in. We got 10% at about 90 days. We get 40% at about 130 days.
Yeah.
And then we get the final, right? So with all that being said, how can you shrink that down, right? How can you shrink the timeline of your income, or how can you shrink the timeline of your expenditures coming back into income, right? The best way on the front end is word of mouth. So if you can get referrals and word of mouth, you just negated the marketing prices and time of money out for marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, so good. And then going and doing the estimates is me. So then being efficient on knowing our other timelines. So knowing, hey, when we get the estimate done, it gets accepted, we're on the job in 2 months and it's going to be this long. So we know like exactly how long that is going to take, right?
Yeah.
If we're able to pull other guys to help the job go faster, or, you know, if more guys are available, whatever, reaching out, making sure, this is a big one, making sure all of our subs are available for that time, making sure the customer has ordered and picked out all of their materials and that everything will be staged on site a week prior. We can come confirm everything is there so that when we start there, we are not waiting for stuff. That is probably our number one issue, is materials not being there.
100%.
So, and when I worked with Nate, that was a huge issue. Like, customer would do a reorder on Windows, and then we're waiting 8 weeks to do that part, and then we can't even keep building.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, or we cover it up, finish the build out, have to take off those panels, install the windows, reinstall the panels. So it's like, how much extra rework did we just do?
Right, yeah.
So how to shorten that time, right? So that's it. And then making sure our subcontractors are getting us their invoices the day of, the day they complete their work, so that the day the job finishes, we have all materials accounted for. We've got all sub labor accounted for, and we're able to invoice the customer the day the project is complete, and have an ACH option for them to pay online, so it can be paid right away. So those are all ways to like shorten, so we can get more cash into the business faster.
Right.
Otherwise, it was the issue we had with the flips. We would have money tied up in so many flips for 3 to 12 months without getting paid. And then we're like, how are we paying bills? How are we doing this? How are we paying our guys? Oh, we got to take money out of our savings account again. And so like getting it figured out where you can actually operate and have continuous income flowing into your business to pay for everything
is so helpful.
It's beautiful. It's how you find your cash in your business. It's how you continue to be in business.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you have to always operate on the fact of like pulling money from areas to survive, it's only a matter of time.
Right. Like, it's just like paying bills, like people who have like high debt. Like if you just keep putting it off or like adding more debt to it, it's just going to take forever and ever and ever and ever to pay off.
Yep. And in some cases you can't.
Yeah.
In some cases you get too deep and you can't pay off. And so
yeah, relying on the next payment that's like a completely different project is not the best way.
No. Right. And so your most important thing in business is cash. There's nothing more important in business than money.
I mean, there's nothing more important in life than money.
If you do not have it, you cannot live.
100%.
You cannot live. What is the three things? Health, relationships, money. Your three main things in life in that order: health, relationships, money.
Yeah.
Without health, relationships, money,
Can't live.
Can't live. Without health, you're dead. Without relationships,
You're lonely.
the meaning of life is zero. And without money, you can't live.
Yeah.
You can't survive. So, yeah, that's the main aspects behind it, right? So, number one, we have our price. We have our money coming in, right? So think of your cash in your business in the realm of, we'll start from whatever. Your money, the minute your money goes out to acquire a customer is when your clock starts.
Mm-hmm.
And the clock does not end until you receive your final payment for the job to acquire the customer. Mm-hmm. Okay. So our goal is to shorten that as much as possible. You've got your income, you got your cost of goods sold, overhead, and then you have your net income. The goal is to increase your income either through increasing prices or increasing volume. The goal is to decrease your cost of goods sold. It's to decrease your overhead. And part of decreasing your overhead would be lowering accounts receivable time, mm-hmm. increasing accounts payable time, because if we got net 30 with other customers, why are we paying on day 1?
Right.
Pay on day 29. That allows us to keep cash in the bank account longer to operate.
That's true.
Yep. How much inventory are we keeping at the office? Like, can we make the same amount of money if we don't have that inventory? Like, you have to look at inventory as dollars. Mm-hmm. So if you're just looking at every piece of inventory you have, look at a stack of cash associated with it. So like, we've got a vanity at the office. That's $800. It's just $800 stack of cash sitting there, not mm-hmm. getting used. That could be in our pockets or could be there to fuel the business and pay for the business.
Right. And the longer it sits there, the higher the chance that it's just going to get wrecked and the value is going to go down. Right.
So those are all things that we need to think about, like bringing down accounts payable, making longer, your overhead expenses. Where can you find better efficiencies in your overhead? What things can you get rid of? One example they gave in the book was the guy quoted out insurance. When he got the company, the people before him never quoted out insurance. They just went with whatever. So dude quoted out insurance and saved $35,000 a year on insurance.
Ooh, that's a big chunk.
Yeah, insurance. Or it started out as like $115,000 is what insurance was. Mm-hmm. He was able to find a different company with the same coverage that was $35,000 less.
That's impressive.
And so it's things like that, right? On your overhead, you need insurance, but if you can get the same insurance for less money, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Can you get away with like maybe not so big of an office space, or getting a furnace instead of a electric baseboard heater? Can you get away with maybe like different vehicles or different, in our case, tools, trailers, etc.? Like, what can you get away with? And then where can you find better efficiencies in your operations? Can guys work longer so that they don't have, so that the cleanup and teardown that you can't charge for, or that, isn't considered like billable, isn't being wasted,
Right. You only do it 4 times a week instead of 5 times a week.
Right.
Could save a whole hour.
Right. And you're on job for 10 hours instead of 8 hours. Mm-hmm. Where can you, like other areas that you can you have like zones? So like a certain manager looks on these zones, and then a different one works on different zones, so you don't have like one guy doing a bunch of driving around to check on everything with nothing getting done.
Right.
If you can keep them in one area to check on things, then it's good. How can you save trips from one area? How can you like tie trips together? So like when we need to return materials when we're going to pick up new materials. Mm-hmm. You're gonna fall asleep, dude.
No, I'm not.
All right. So that's the idea behind it, is finding cash within your business. Mm-hmm. Without that, cash is the most important thing in your business. And just as he laid out before, you cannot tell me You cannot tell me you cannot find a way to increase your prices by 1% or
Right.
increase your income by 1%.
Right.
Can't decrease your cost of goods by 1%. Can't decrease your overhead by 1% to then give you 19% more at your net income, your bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, we like just since you've read that, which you started last night, 2 nights ago.
It's a few nights. Whenever we had
Friday.
the podcast. So I started this probably the beginning of the week.
Yeah, I mean, we've already like come up with so many things that we could do to improve. That'll give us way more than 19%.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, it's just taking. You do have to take the time, obviously, to do it, but it'll be worth it in the end.
Absolutely. All right, gang. That's all I got. Recon this weekend. VIP Friday night, 5 to 9 p.m. Bunch of great guys and gals going to be in the room. So hit that up. Hit me up for a promo code for that. Message me for a promo code for that. So Recon VIP Friday night. And then Saturday is the Recon Day event. That's going to be phenomenal. We got Greg Hazelwander starting us out, who is going to give so many good nuggets that you can take away, real actionable steps that can improve your business day one. So highly recommend getting out for that. Once again, message me for promo code for that. And we hope we see you there.
Yeah.
Cool.
See ya.
Peace.